I'm incorporating today's sacred reading into the talk because it actually is the talk. So I recently discovered this story, and the story itself goes back a ways, but it's been attributed to Bertrand Russell and Stephen Hawking, and I just found out that a different version of it is actually in the book The Theory of Everything, so it might actually be in the movie of The Theory of Everything. However, there's a piece missing, and it's in this version of the story, which I found in A Deep Breath of Life by Alan Cohen. So here's the story. A king woke up and was startled, and he woke up his advisor in the middle of the night, and he said, "I can't sleep because I'm beginning to fear that the world is going to fall into the abyss." "Don't worry," comforted his advisor, "don't worry. The earth is held up by a giant bear." "Oh, thank you," said the king, and he was relieved and went back to his room. And a half an hour later, he's knocking on the advisor's door again. "But what's holding up the bear?" And the advisor said, "Don't worry, it's a giant turtle. He's not going to let the bear fall. Don't worry." So the king was like, "Great." Left, got halfway down the hall, came back and knocked again. But before he could even knock, the advisor opened the door and said, "Look, it's turtles all the way down. Don't worry about a thing." And Alan Cohen continues with these words: "If we begin to question our support, we can enter into an abysmal tailspin of worry. Eventually, we come to the point where either we trust implicitly or doubt compulsively. If we don't trust, we will find more and more reasons to fear. We shall confirm, and if we trust, we shall confirm our vision of safety. We can short-circuit the experiment by practicing trust at every level, knowing that for every turtle we question, there's another turtle below it." I just really like that story. First of all, I like turtles, but the idea of turtles all the way down really makes me happy. So this is from Brian Andreas. "There are times when I have no idea what comes next, and it's the thing I've come to love most about being alive. Leaning in to hear the invitation of each day and feeling my whole body melt when I say yes, yes, yes." Wouldn't it be great to feel like this every day? Every day. There's a song I wrote a few years back. It's called PPVP, which stands for Pain Pushes Till Vision Pulls, which is a popular New Thought saying. And the song the song came through me while I was taking foundations class at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Now, for those of you who don't know, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't, but I'll just do a quick review for those who might be listening to the recording. The science of mind is a philosophy that was started by a gentleman named Ernest Holmes around the early 1920s. And Ernest Holmes studied with the great New Thought masters, two of whom were Ralph Waldo Emerson and Emma Curtis Hopkins. Emma Curtis Hopkins studied with Phineas Quimby, who is the father of New Thought. Brief history right there. So the foundations class teaches the basics of the science of mind philosophy, which is centered around the fact that our thoughts create our experience, and that the universe works in a balance of love and law. And if you've seen the movies The Secret or What the Bleep Do We Know, you get the kind of general idea of where this is going. However, there is a much deeper depth, a much stronger depth to the wisdom than The Secret brought to it. What the Bleep is actually closer to the idea of how intense this can get. Okay, back to my song. So I was taking this class, and this class was teaching me how powerful my thoughts were, and that I can create my experience in life through how I think about it and how I see it, and how it's about seeing it before it's about believing it before I see it, and that I will see it when I believe it. Believe it when I see it. You get the idea. And a huge piece of this was about trusting. So naturally, my reaction was to rebel completely against everything I was being taught. And the idea really irritated me. And as the song PPVP came to being, irritation was mild compared to what I was actually feeling. I was completely pissed off. I was just really, really angry. And it wasn't that I was angry at the teachings. I was angry at myself because I wanted desperately to see it and feel it and experience it and live it right at that moment. And I wasn't. And I was really hard on myself about it. And this is an example of where a little teaching of something can really be a dangerous thing, because we can beat ourselves up. And so my biggest challenge was not the changing of my thoughts. My biggest challenge was trusting that the results of changing my thoughts would actually show up. And when it was going to happen, and how soon it was going to happen, and why wasn't it happening right this instant. Here's a little riddle for you. What has two thumbs and trust issues? This minister right here. So I love the idea of trusting God, or whatever word works, trusting the universe, trusting the essence, trusting the larger being. I love the idea of relaxing and knowing that there are turtles all the way down, that I don't drive the bus, that I don't make the sun rise and set. I love the idea of that. And for whatever reasons, maybe it's disappointments from trust issues from the past or whatever, I am challenged. Good morning. I am challenged by this trusting that everything's taken care of. I'm just challenged by it. I still feel the need to control, or try to control, everything. Have attachments to everything. I at that time, I was sure, and I still have moments, where I'm sure that I make stuff happen. And I can. And then, back then, when life continued to prove me wrong, when I was really just fighting it, and life just kept coming up in my face, it caused me, in some ways, to feel broken, which is not a good feeling. And yet there's something worth looking at here. I'm reading this book for class right now, and there's this whole section about being broken. And there was a statement made that said, our sense of brokenness can lead us to a deeper connection with the divine. However, it can also send us running from the divine. In this morning's music, one of the pieces that I chose was the piece Godstorm, which is from the movie Life of Pi, which is the moment in the movie that brings me to my knees every time. It's when, have you guys seen Life of Pi? Some yes, some no. Well, it's this moment in the boat where this storm hits, and Pi is just screaming at God because Richard Parker, the tiger, is afraid. And he says, why are you scaring him? Why are you? I've lost everything. You've taken everything. What more do you want? And he's just railing at God, and he is completely at this moment of 100% broken. And it's powerful. But let me say this before I say anything else. I'm not saying that we have to suffer to be closer to God. I don't subscribe to that belief. I don't follow that teaching. What I am saying is that we have moments of brokenness. And in our moments of brokenness, in our moments of vulnerability, in our moments of anger or disappointment with the experience of God, in that darkness, in our walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we have this opportunity to lean in. We have this opportunity to yield, to stop trying to know everything and control everything, and just let Spirit, God, universe, flying spaghetti monster, whatever, just let it drive the bus. Here's some insight into Reverend Rachel. In my moments of brokenness, no matter where I turn for wisdom or guidance about trust, I almost always end up at the same place. And it's right here with Indiana Jones. In the third movie, at the edge of the abyss, having to take that step of faith into nothingness. He's standing at this edge, and he's reading in his dad's journal, and it says, "Only with a leap from the lion's head will he prove his worth." And Indy looks down, and he looks across, and he says, "It's impossible." But the only thing that would save his father's life is doing this. And he realizes it, and he says out loud, it's a leap of faith. And his father, who is dying a ways back, whispers, and there's no way Indiana can hear it, but he whispers, "You must believe, boy. You must believe." And Indiana takes a breath, and he closes his eyes, and he puts his hands on his chest, and he steps out. And what happens is turtles all the way down. This thing appears. He's standing on a bridge, and the music swells, and we all go, "Oh my God." And it happens every time I watch the movie. He never falls. Every time I watch the movie, that bridge appears. It's awesome. I love how that happens. Now, not all of us have the guts and craziness and behavior, that Indiana Jones has. And we don't need it. We don't need what he has. All we need is a willingness to try. All we need is a willingness to trust. And sometimes it's a willingness to ask. A friend on Facebook, thank you, Patrick, shared this quote. Scripture says, "Ask and you shall receive." It doesn't say, "Bitch and whine and you shall receive." Ask. Not beg, not beseech, not bargain. Just ask. Many of us have experienced times in our lives when we needed someone. We needed support, to lean in, and maybe just to feel held, to feel lifted. And maybe we did ask for what we needed. And maybe we weren't heard. Or maybe, as painful as it is to admit it, maybe we were told no. What do we lean on when it feels like nothing's there? What do we believe in when we don't already carry within us any kind of belief that we can trust? This is when things get really interesting and really tricky. I have many friends who walk truly deeply committed paths of faith, both traditional and non-traditional. And they have firm and unshakable beliefs that keep them from doubting. No moments of slippage for these folks. It's remarkable. And if they do have moments of slippage, they're not really problematic. They work through it. And then I have many friends who are total atheists. We can talk about the G word because I'm really super clear with them what I mean when I use the G word. It's not a man in the sky. It's not a controlling thing. It's not a dogmatic religious limitation. It's an essence. It's a love. You know what I talk about. And what we also talk about is like ethical and moral issues about living life well without needing the parameters of dogmas or any set religion or path. And then one of my friends, who is an atheist, posted this, which knocked me out. Don't call me a non-believer. Just because I don't believe what you do does not mean I don't believe in something as important, glorious, and as peaceful to me as your belief is to you. You don't have a monopoly on serenity and connection with something divine. So no, I'm not so I know I am the farthest thing from a non-believer. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? In support of this idea, Gandhi is actually quoted as saying, "In heaven, there's no religion. Thank God." Now, we all believe something. We may not all believe in something. A lot of times the kids at work will say, "Well, do you believe in Jesus?" It's a tricky question. Do I believe in something or do I believe something? We all believe something. And all of it's okay. This is more about trust. And trust is a deeply personal experience. Trusting, having faith, believing, walking a spiritual path, commitment. We have so many words for it. Lots of words. Words. There's this beautiful scene in Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. And as those of you who know me know how I feel about that movie. The whole movie's beautiful. But there's this beautiful scene. Francesco has left his friends behind to go build his church, to go build San Damiano, and his best friend, Bernardo de Quintavalle, comes back from the Crusades feeling lost and broken and alone, and he goes to seek out his friends, and he's like, well, where's Francesco? And his friends are like, oh, we don't know. He's off doing some crazy thing. And so Bernardo goes to seek him out to find out what's going on, and he's so moved by what his friend is doing that he wants to join him, and he tells him, my life is empty. I feel lost. I want purpose. I want to do something. I want to work with you. And Francesco looks at him and he says, words, Bernardo. I used to believe in words. And it's such a great moment. It's such a great moment because in that moment Bernardo realizes that he must move beyond the words. That just saying what he believed was not enough for him. He had to trust what was in his heart and trust that it was the truth and that it was time to step out in faith. These moments of awakening, though, they don't usually happen in the busyness of our life, in the noisiness of our life. The trust and the knowing that we want to experience most oftentimes comes when we're in a moment of stopping. When we just stop the movement. When life has given us an opportunity, either pleasant or less than pleasant, to pause. This is usually when the work begins. And there are, of course, techniques and approaches and books and teachers, and they all profess the way to teach us how to trust more deeply, to how we can know with certainty that there are turtles all the way down. And many are really... let me just say this. Many are really good tools, good resources, good lights on the path. They're also words. And so you all know where this is leading. Like all of the big work of living and walking the spiritual life, it's an inside job. I can read all of the best books out there and still not trust. I can have the most amazing weekend seminar of spiritual explosion and still walk away doubting and still want to control everything. What changes us is what feeds us, what touches and fills our soul. Walt Whitman said this, re-examine all that you've been told. Dismiss that which insults your soul. And I would amend it. Sorry, Walt, I'm not correcting, I'm just amending. I would say embrace what nourishes your soul. When you find it and it really moves you, take that in. There's this awesome practice that I got turned on to last year, and it's called the Good Things Jar. And what the practice is on New Year's Day, you take a jar and you start just jotting down on scraps of paper good things that happen, things you're thankful for, people that you're thankful for, moments that were just stellar. And you crumple them up and you put them in the jar. And then on New Year's Eve, you dump the jar out and you read them all. And this past New Year's Eve was so phenomenal, reading through those moments from all of 2014. So what does the Good Things Jar have to do with trusting? Well, I'll tell you. In order to know that more good is coming our way, we must first have gratitude for all that we have. So when we have gratitude for where we are right now, who's with us right now, what's around us right now, what's supporting us right now, even if we have gratitude for what's missing right now, when we have that sense of gratitude in the turtles that we can see, then we'll have a true sense of the turtles that we can't see yet. The ones that are all the way down become a reality for us. It's just one approach. It's just some words. The trust thing is a journey that we each take, and we truly take it on our own. And so I want to close with a song. Oh, first I want you to see this. Things are as they are. Looking out into the universe at night, we make no comparisons between right and wrong stars, nor between well and badly arranged constellations. Just thought that was kind of... So as I was preparing the talk, I was thinking about this song that came through me, and it will now be almost 11 years ago. It was Easter of 2004, and I was spending a great deal of time in a float tank, an isolation tank, and I was getting a lot out of it. And so I'm going to share this song with you, and I can post lyrics later if you'd like them. We'll see if this works. And I remember I was going to say something really profound about it, and I can't remember what it is.
It's just words.
It's just words. Thank you.
Floating in the dark alone, wanting so to know what the answers are. What is this path we're on? Why have we moved ourselves so attachments to everything? When will I learn to let them go? Let them go. They go anyway. Where is this path taking me now? What is the meaning of life if I vow to let it all go? Step back, watch it grow, and we both know how. Trust falling. Forward movement, one-way track. I watch myself growing up all over the place. 2 steps forward, half step back. The proof of lessons showing up all over my face. No more tears about things I cannot change, and those same when tears show up at the strangest times. We both know why. Too late to lie. Still I try anyway. Where is this path taking us now? What is the meaning for me if I vow to let it all go? Step back, watch it grow, and we both know how. Trust falling. It's easy to see now. The truth shines so bright. Deep in the gray now, things are no longer black or white. No getting around it. This is our chosen path. I'm walking this path, keeping my vow. I'm open to guides showing me how to release all the hurt, embrace all the good, starting here from right where I am right now. Trust falling. Trust falling. I remembered what I was going to say. And as we move into prayer, the reason why the song talks about us and we and plural is because I really feel strongly that when I'm walking the trust path, that I'm not alone. And that there is an entity of spirit, there is an entity of love and essence that walks with me. So when I ask the question, where is this path taking us now? Moving into prayer, what I know to be true is that I'm never alone. This path of my life and where it's taking me is not just taking me, it's a co-creative process that I walk with Spirit, and I walk with all of you, and I walk with my family, and I walk with my friends, and I walk with everyone within the sound of my voice. I walk with everyone within the reach of my consciousness, which means I walk with everyone. We all do. And so what I know to be true is that as I go deeper in my trust, as I go deeper in my connection, that experience is something that can be shared by everyone. It deepens my connection with people in Nigeria. It deepens my connection with people in Afghanistan. It deepens my connection with people in Detroit. It deepens all of our connections with each other. As we learn to lean in to trusting that regardless of any appearance that's happening in front of us, whether it's in our personal lives or whether it's global, back of that appearance there is something good coming from it. Because we live in a creative universe, not a destructive universe. If we lived in a destructive universe, we wouldn't be here. And yes, I know those are my words of belief. And yet I just have to know that it's true. That there is creativity and creation taking place all of the time. Which means that something good is coming all of the time. I went to visit Mount St. Helen years after the volcano exploded, and what was amazing was seeing that there was green plants and trees growing up through the ash. There was new life coming up through places that had been devastated. And so it can be true with our world, and so it can be true with each of us. Regardless of how devastated we may feel, regardless of how left or alone or isolated we may feel, the truth is there is new life growing in, around, and through us. And so beyond all the words and the teachings and the prayers and all of it, it's that inside work of trusting, of leaning in, and knowing. So I take this moment to hold anyone and everyone who is needing to know that there are turtles all the way down, and that it's safe to trust. And I affirm with each and every one of us, we can trust. We can trust. Amen. Ashe.